morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
We want to take this opportunity to thank a few people before we get started here. Our alderperson from the 26th Ward, Jesse Fuentes. Thank you. Alderman Rosa, thank you. Representative Jimenez. Representative Gazzardi, thank you. And let me also take the opportunity to thank all of those community organizations that continue to do the work that we need to do to keep our communities alive and going. Thank you, community organizations. We are here today to talk about an issue that affects Puerto Ricans, whether you are on the island or in the diaspora. Let me tell you, we cannot allow Puerto Rico to be sold. We cannot allow them to sell Puerto Rico. Think of all of our culture, history, traditions, and our children. We must fight now. And here to lead that fight is the champion for our community, raised here, lived and served on such issues as hunger and shelters and taking care of those who needed to be taken care of. A champion for the Puerto Ricans everywhere, our Congresswoman Ramirez.
Good morning, buenos días. Qué día tan lindo y tan soleado para declarar justicia, ¿verdad? It is a gorgeous and beautiful sunny day to declare justice. As you heard Billy say, my name is Nydia Ramirez, and I have the honor to represent the most diverse, the most beautiful Illinois 3rd District, and the biggest diaspora of the Puerto Ricans in the Midwest here in Humboldt Park. Humboldt Park is a vibrant community that has taught me so much about fighting against displacement and for affordable housing and social justice. So I'm so proud to stand here today with members of the Puerto Rican community to call for an end to the destabilization and the displacement of Puerto Ricans caused by the exploitation of federal tax loopholes. And I'm not here alone. I'm here with the community. I'm here with local elected officials, and I am here with those who say, basta, enough is enough. Act 22 and the exploitation of federal tax loopholes have made Puerto Rico the only place where a wealthy American with no ties whatsoever to the island, that they can move there and evade paying any, listen to me, any local or federal taxes. That is wrong, that is unacceptable. Taxes that represent essential funds for safety net programs and critical infrastructure right here in our districts are denied because they're able to do it and get away with it. And while those wealthy Americans avoid the responsibility to contribute to the well-being of our communities here at home, in Puerto Rico, they're stripping Puerto Ricans of affordable housing, they're privatizing public lands and historic sites, they're driving the second largest migration the island has seen, and more recently, they're influencing local elections through their donations and contributions. Many, including members of Congress, may think that the issues facing Puerto Rico are disconnected from the issues our communities face every day. But we know that's not true. We know that our struggles are interconnected. We know that community control of land, rising housing costs, forced displacement, and the destruction of webs of relationship and community histories are real. And folks, both leaders on the island and our neighborhoods are fighting back against the impacts of decades of failed policies that prioritize the wealthy over everyday working people. We know about that. We know about that very directly. And that is why we have to act. That is why we're acting today. My resolution, the UPROAR resolution, co-led by Nydia Velázquez and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You guys should say it again, right? You'll say it with me. 1, 2, 3, the UPROAR. to affirm our shared responsibility to address how the exploitation of the federal tax loopholes are impacting local communities in Puerto Rico y también in Humboldt Park. Our communities deserve accessible housing, access to their lands, and an economy and democracy that works for them. And we know that from Humboldt Park in Illinois 3 and Puerto Rico, we're ready to fight for it. Estoy orgullosa de unirme hoy a la comunidad puertorriqueña de Humboldt Park, una comunidad que me ha enseñado tanto sobre justicia social para exigir el fin de la desestabilización y el desplazamiento de puertorriqueños. La Ley 22 y la explotación de las lagunas fiscales federales han convertido a Puerto Rico un paraíso fiscal para estadounidenses millonarios que se mudan a la isla, que se mudan supuestamente, y dejan de cumplir con su obligación de pagar impuestos. Imagínate si alguien aquí no pagara impuestos, uno de nosotros, un maestro que gana $65,000 no pagará sus impuestos. ¿Qué pasará con él? Tú ya lo sabes, ¿verdad? El IRS viniera en contra de ellos y antes que tú supieras perdieran todo porque no han pagado sus impuestos. ¿Cómo es que un millonario se va para Puerto Rico, inversionista, compra una casita, cambia el costo de propiedad en el barrio y no tiene que pagar ni $1 de impuestos federales en Estados Unidos? Eso es criminal y no es aceptable. Y por eso es que nosotros estamos aquí hoy. Mientras privan a nuestras comunidades de importantes fondos, han creado una crisis de privatización, desplazamiento y migración para los puertorriqueños. Aunque muchos en el Congreso piensan que esto no nos afecta, que lo que está pasando en Puerto Rico está muy lejos de nosotros, nosotros sabemos que las luchas por nuestras comunidades están interconectadas. Y tenemos que unirnos, tantos como líderes en la isla, como líderes aquí en Estados Unidos, contra el impacto de décadas de políticas falladas que ponen prioridad, esa palabra no es prioridad, a los ricos y no a nuestros vecinos. Mi resolución, la resolución que se llama UPROAR, codirigida por los representantes Nydia Velázquez y Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, es un paso para afirmar nuestra responsabilidad compartida de atender como la explotación de las lagunas fiscales federales impactando las comunidades locales en Puerto Rico y en Humboldt Park. Esta legislación pone una urgencia y muestra que hay una coalición trabajando desde Chicago, Nueva York, el Congreso hasta la isla diciendo basta ya. Y desde Humboldt Park y en Illinois 3 estamos listos para luchar para ello. Por eso estamos aquí y por eso en este momento, mientras el Congreso se prepara a regresar a trabajar con el presupuesto de apropiaciones, nosotros estamos presentando esa resolución entendiendo cómo puedes saber cuáles son tus fondos si hay tanta gente que no paga sus impuestos federales cuando se va para la isla. Así que la urgencia de esta resolución es ahora y por eso estamos aquí. La gente preguntará, ¿pero se puede hacer? ¿Pero cómo? Yo vengo de una comunidad que se organiza junta y entiende que ese trabajo nadie lo hace solo. Y lo hacemos en comunidad, localmente y federalmente. Para hablar un poquito más del contexto local en este momento, quiero que me ayuden a darle un aplauso a la líder, a nuestra mover and shaker aquí en el Distrito 26, la concejal Yassi Fuentes.
You know, there's a distinct difference between politicians and elected representatives. There's a distinct difference between people who take the money from the folks that are the highest bidders, who will pay your agenda and pay your career, and those who go into office to represent the very constituents they say they would fight for. Nydia Ramirez is our elected representative. My name is Yassi Fuentes, and I'm the alderperson of the 26th Ward. The mighty Humboldt Park, the mecca of the Puerto Rican community, the heart of the Puerto Rican people. And someone who believes in the self-determination of Puerto Rico to ensure that our people are free, but more importantly, that we take back the island of Puerto Rico, because it does not belong to cryptocurrency folks. It does not belong to the executives of Wall Street. It doesn't belong to people who are hoarding real estate for their margins of profit. You see, people are becoming millionaires on the island of Puerto Rico because of a piece of legislation that was passed under the false pretenses that it was going to stir the economic development for the people of Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, the people of Puerto Rico are being displaced, gentrified out, refugees of economic turmoil. And they come here to Humboldt Park. Those are the Puerto Ricans that I represent as the older person of the 26th Ward. And this past June, I had the privilege of passing a resolution to demand Congress and the President of the United States to undo Act 22 and to ensure that the rich millionaires, they go to Puerto Rico to make a profit, they pay their fair share. And because of colleagues like Chairwoman Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, and because of older people like Carlos Ramirez Rosa, we passed our resolution unanimously. What happens in Puerto Rico has a direct impact on what happens right here in the 26th Ward. Even what happens in Albany Park, in the 33rd, or Logan Square in the 35th. Puerto Ricans have found a home here in the city of Chicago. But we know one thing to be true. No one leaves our 100 by 35 beautiful island because they want to. They leave because they have no other choice. These individuals have privatized beaches, build resorts in the places of homes, are building mansions in the places of schools. Act 22 has only benefited a very small percentage of people that are not even from Puerto Rico. And so I'm excited to stand alongside Congresswoman Nydia Ramirez to ensure that we reclaim Puerto Rico and return it to the people. Thank you all for being here today. It's an honor of mine to always have sisters in the fight, and we have a sister in the house. Please help me welcome State Representative Lillian Jimenez.
Thank you, and I just want to start by saying, I would not be here if it wasn't for all of you who are here today. Coming to this country, I imagine how my grandfather felt coming from Puerto Rico. Alone, in a new place, expected to do the work and stay quiet. And today, I'm proud to say that we stand here because this community has built the community, has built the ability and the power of the Puerto Rican people to stand up and finally have a voice. Speak up for ourselves. It is because the people who came before us, it is people who are here today who built that power. And it's time now that we take and stand even further and say no more exploitation. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents were always promised that economic vitality, right? It's always about the economic, we're gonna do an intervention and this is gonna help everybody. But who does it always help? Who did it help to displace our people from our island? It helped the rich people of those time periods. And who is Act 22 helping right now? The millionaires and billionaires of this country. And guess what? We are here to say, we have a voice, we say no, and we are taking those steps forwards to change that, to take control of our own destiny, and to take control of the destiny and with our people. And to that end, I also had a resolution, and due to this community who helped me put this resolution together, who put these beautiful words together to talk about self-determination. We said in our resolution, our House Resolution, HR 737, the principle of self-determination is a cornerstone of international law, enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, which guarantees all peoples the right to freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. We oppose the Puerto Rican Status Act due to concerns over its inadequacy in facilitating a fair and democratic process for Puerto Ricans to determine their future. And we are resolved that we endorse the Puerto Rican Self-Determination Act. And we provided this resolution from Illinois to the President of the United States, to Congress, to show them that here in Illinois, here in Chicago, here in Humboldt Park. We will not go back. We will continue to go forward with our community, and we will stand up every time our community is under attack. And in this economic exploitation of our island is that exact thing, is an attack on our people's ability to self-determine, to be able to stay on their island, to move freely if they wish to, and to be the people that the beautiful people that we all are, we all know that we are. So with that, I want to invite the wonderful leader who helped me put this resolution together, who has shepherded many of our wonderful work that we're doing here in Humboldt Park, the great Jose Lopez.
So I am here on behalf of the Puerto Rican community of Chicago to say that we're 100% behind this resolution. This resolution really is able to put light on the big problem that faces Puerto Rico, which is the problem of U.S. colonialism. Gentrification is another form of spatial deconcentration. Spatial deconcentration has been the pillar of modern colonialism for the past 500 years. Millions of Africans were spatially deconcentrated from Africa. Indigenous people across this continent and the westward expansion of the U.S. was brought about because of spatial deconcentration. Hawaii and Alaska have faced this. We're not going to tolerate this in Puerto Rico. So we're supporting this resolution and the great work that our Congresswoman Ramirez has done. And to talk a little bit more about this, we want to bring our friend Erica Gonzalez from Power from Puerto Rico.
I'm here representing for our national coalition that runs from coast to coast of the Boricua diaspora, Power for Puerto Rico. We advocate for Puerto Rico and Puerto Rican communities because we believe that we all can thrive. I want to thank Jose Lopez. Jose, you are truly the wind beneath our pitire wings. On behalf of Power for Puerto Rico, our national coalition, I want to thank Representative Nydia Ramirez and also Congresswomen Nydia Velázquez and Ocasio-Cortez for this powerful step, for being responsive leaders, an action that we will build on. And I would like to say, echoing what Jose just said, alluded to, is that trickle-down colonialism is a lie. And Act 22 isn't even trickle down. What we have is mega millionaires like Brock Pierce, who donated to Trump's re-election campaign and to also an anti-abortion PAC, and Jake and Logan Paul, one of who was on camera in an interview talking about the mamacitas in Puerto Rico, who are exploiting a federal tax loophole to avoid paying taxes in both the US and Puerto Rico. So this is a lose-lose situation. Power for Puerto Rico, with one of our key partners, the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, we've been, over the past year and a half, we've marshaled Puerto Rican constituents from 15 states and Puerto Rico to Congress to meet in at least 34 congressional meetings to say that Congress must close this tax loophole. We went under the banner of reclaiming our land because we in the diaspora, from Cleveland to Chicago to Philadelphia to New York City, we understand the pressure of gentrification and erasure. And we will not allow that in our communities, and we will not allow that in Puerto Rico. So the Power of Puerto Rican constituents have helped bring us to this moment and responsive leadership. And I also want to acknowledge the Congress members who responded with floor speeches, powerful floor speeches that expanded audiences, that educated their colleagues, and really brought more attention to this issue. So they are Ruel Cano, Cori Bush, Chuy Garcia, and of course, Nydia Ramirez. So again, I want to thank Representative Nydia Ramirez for showing leadership, and let's all elevate her and as an example for her colleagues to follow, and understand that this is a moment in the long haul. I had a mentor who was a young Lord, Richie Perez, and he would start off every meeting with a big banner at the front of the agenda and say, are you ready for the long haul? So I want to ask, are we ready for the long haul?
Yeah!
That's it. So we're gonna shut down Act 22. I'd like to now introduce my colleague and friend, our senior policy advisor for Power for Puerto Rico, Federico de Jesus.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Congresswoman, for this important and major step to close this loophole. And thank you all for being here. My name is Federico de Jesus. I am the senior advisor for the coalition at the Puerto Rican Cultural Center in DC. But I'm here to read a statement from El Otro Puerto Rico, which is a community-based organization in Rio Piedras in San Juan, one of the most gentrified communities outside of the University of Puerto Rico, who couldn't be here today but expressed their solidarity and support for what Congresswoman Ramirez is doing. Palabras del Otro Puerto Rico. El Otro Puerto Rico es una organización de base comunitaria de Puerto Rico que lucha todos los días contra los procesos de desplazamiento, a favor del derecho a una vivienda digna y a favor del derecho integral comunitario. Durante los pasados años hemos presenciado el desplazamiento, la pobreza, la gentrificación, la pérdida de nuestro patrimonio arquitectónico y la identidad cultural de nuestras comunidades provocado por la Ley 22. Si bien entendemos que los problemas de Puerto Rico deben ser resueltos por los puertorriqueños, estamos convencidos de que los graves peligros que crea la Ley 22 son un asunto que afecta tanto a los Estados Unidos como a Puerto Rico. Esta resolución también crea un espacio seguro para que todo tipo de criminales encuentren una jurisdicción en la que guardar y lavar el producto de su actividad criminal, introducirlo a Estados Unidos de una forma segura y legal. Eso genera problemas de seguridad en ambos lados de nuestras costas. Es por eso que creemos en esta resolución que hoy radica la congresista Ramírez. Entendemos que esta pieza tome el camino adecuado para cerrar el hueco legal que permite que millonarios y criminales se aprovechen del sistema de rentas internas de Estados Unidos y evadan su responsabilidad contributiva en su propio país. Es por eso que hoy expresamos nuestro apoyo a esta medida y nos comprometemos a luchar por su aprobación de todas las formas y maneras que nos sean posibles. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And it's my honor to introduce Hipólito Paul Roldán from HHC.
Good morning. And until recently, I was the director and president of Hispanic Housing Development Corporation for about 48 years. We're working on a closing in Bayamón of a 100-unit project at $28 million. As we speak, we're closing that this month before the end of the month. We struggled with that project because even though it's there about 32 years as a senior development, we found out that seniors who went there when it was first built became ineligible for living there because the income limits in Puerto Rico are the lowest in America. The income limits in Puerto Rico for a single person, an elderly person, is $11,200. What it is in the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, is $22,800. So people who are living in public housing and housing that has subsidies in Puerto Rico continually find themselves being ineligible to continue to live there. It's something that needs to be fixed. I'm not sure what's going on. Getting back to Ley 22, there's a story in the Wall Street Journal about a year and a half ago of a guy, crypto guy in Puerto Rico who wanted to buy a home that was listed for $27 million in Dorado Beach. Beautiful home, 6,000 to 7,000 square feet, has servants, pools, all that. Point is, he negotiated with these people for about 3 months and wound up buying it for $40 million. $40 million for a home in Puerto Rico. You could put up a couple of apartment buildings here in Chicago for that. Point is, when someone pays that kind of money in the real estate market, everything below it goes up. A $200,000 home becomes $250,000. An apartment that was renting for $1,000 becomes $1,200. That's the problem that we have to a great extent. We have an example of what's going on in Puerto Rico. It's Hawaii. Hawaii is controlled and owned by Japanese, Germans, Europeans, not Hawaiians, and we're seeing that going on in Puerto Rico as we speak. So I'm with creating, and by the way, this ROAR, Trump should know about ROAR in America because he hasn't paid taxes, God knows since when. Thank you. I'm going to pass it along to Ramirez for closing statements. Thank you.
What Paul's talking about here is fairness, right? What applies to Paul should apply to Peter. What applies to Trump should apply to every single person here, except that Trump doesn't seem to think that it applies to him. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble because it's an official press conference. My staff is looking at me. She got me all riled up, Paul. Folks, I want you to look around. This is the community that built us. This is the community that for generations has been fighting for a better life for the next generation. Behind me, next to me, and standing with me are people's dreams, people's homes, people's hopes. And the idea that it is 2024, October 2024, and justice for the people of Puerto Rico, justice for the people of Humboldt Park, justice for the people of the United States of America, justice for the people in Gaza. It is still not a realization. There is something seriously wrong with this moment.
Yes.
And yet, we are in uproar because we know that we will not give in and we will not give up for what is justice. For justice for Puerto Rico, for justice for Humboldt Park, and as you heard, for justice for Logan Square, for Albany Park, for Avondale, and for every single community in this world. I want to thank everyone that is here today. Because folks, in Congress we talk a lot about funding and deficits. And are we in the red? Are we in the green? Are we overspending? Are we underspending? But we are living a moment where we continue to allow corporations and investors and the rich and the billionaire to do whatever the hell they want, wherever they want, with no consequences. This resolution puts them on notice. And let me say to you, as I'm wrapping up my first year in Congress, my first year, it feels like 20 years, my first term in Congress. I've had the opportunity to start my first term in Congress with a fact-finding mission to Puerto Rico with the Puerto Rican agenda and the Puerto Rican Culture Center. I'll say thank you for that trip. It built me, it grounded me, and it prepared me for this moment. In these last 2 years, I visited communities all over Latin America. Honduras, Panama, Guatemala, I've been in Puerto Rico. And in every conversation, I see so clearly how our stability and our success are interconnected. Our struggles, they have the same roots. Decades of failed policies, especially US policies, that put the interests of a few over the well-being of our people. And everywhere I go, I meet land defenders. And everywhere I go, I meet people fighting to protect our water. People who have lived on the same block, if it's in Bayamón, if it's in San Juan, or if it's in Vieques or Arecibo, who say enough is enough. We want to live here. We want to stay here. And we want to make sure that the rich pay their fair share. And folks, today, in this resolution, as we stand here with Power for Puerto Rico, as we stand here as a coalition, from the State House to City Council to Federal Congress, we say that from Puerto Rico to Illinois 3, lands belong to the people. We will not be moved. From Puerto Rico to Illinois 3, we affirm that housing is a human right. And from Puerto Rico to Illinois 3, we declare that our democracy is not for sale. From Puerto Rico to Illinois 3, we join in an uproar to stop tax evasion today. precise moment. It is never too early to fight for what is right. It is never too early to fight for justice. Quite frankly, we are late on this. We should be on this every single day until we ensure that it doesn't matter that if you live in Puerto Rico or in Humboldt Park, that displacement, gentrification, and tax evaders will not continue to get away with it, which is exactly why this resolution was presented right now. As a testament that as a coalition, we are creating a public message of urgency, that we expect to know who are the tax evaders and how much are they evading and what that would be giving in community safety nets here, and also the impact it's having on the island. This resolution is the beginning of a lot more work to be done, and we will do that juntos together.
Yeah!
So now, I'll take any questions, if there's a question from the press, any questions? We will be available for individual interviews. Billy, gracias por dejarnos usar este corazón de la comunidad puertorriqueña de Humboldt Park to be able to have this press conference today. We're grateful. Thank you, everyone. Gracias.